Well, our topic today is appreciation. As we were looking at this week, I was wondering, what is the difference between appreciation and Thanksgiving? Because they seem pretty similar, don't they? So I did a little research and I came to the conclusion that appreciation actually precedes Thanksgiving. Because appreciation is an awareness or an awakening to or a realization of our good, the existence of our good. Appreciation is an inner feeling of gratitude, while Thanksgiving is an external expression of gratitude. There's a point where feeling takes action, where feeling has to be expressed, and that action and expression can take form on several different levels of manifestation. There's a point of critical mass where we move from observer to doer, where we step off the sidelines and take a part in the action, where we literally live our spiritual practice. We actually put our practice into everyday practice, where we practice our spiritual teaching. Today we're celebrating and honoring volunteers here, and volunteers are those who have made a shift from observer to operator, where we are no longer just receiving the benefits, but facilitating the flow of good for all others. This can be as simple as opening a door for somebody, or just doing someone a favor, or lending a hand to someone in need. It can be as extreme and extensive as answering the call to serve others. Regardless, we are acting on a willingness to be a tool in the mechanism of divine operation. We're being a tool in the mechanism of divine operation. Of course, to be called a tool is usually a derogatory slang term that means a person is easily manipulated, lacks self-awareness, or acts as a puppet for someone else's benefit. But if we simply change the lack of self-awareness to a recognition of our own higher self, we can take on a more positive, productive character. We can be a person willing to serve, recognizing our own higher self and acting for the good to benefit others. We can be like Ricky Byers when she sings, "Use me, O God." Or we can be like St. Francis of Assisi when he shared this most beautiful and powerful prayer. He says, "Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. May I not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it's in dying that we are born to eternal life. It seems to be a more easily acceptable thing to be an instrument, maybe, than a tool. But maybe that's just tool having semantics or bad connotations because of the way we use it. Actually, I think I pretty much resonate with being a tool because I, in my life, appreciate how tools are such great value to me and how they can actually lead me to better things in my life. And so I resonate with being a tool in the mechanism of divine operation, because I can see myself working with divine law to bring about a world that operates on divine principle. I can see myself taking responsibility for my part in world peace and a world that actually truly works for all people. I can see myself as an integral function in the divine creative process for good. In this St. Francis' prayer, we can see ourselves being transformed from receiver to giver, from victim to solution, from mere mortal to messengers of divine providence. We could also imagine ourselves as simply being a clear channel of divinity, letting God be seen clearly through us, letting divinity flow through us into our world. As we do so, we begin to see God all around us because we are feeling and expressing love into our environment. And we reap the benefits of that loving environment, and we see it in everyone and everything we meet. What we bring into manifestation around us is mirrored back to us. And that is where we can easily and sincerely say, Namaste. The divinity in me sees the divinity in you, or the God in me and of me sees the God in you and of you. As we appreciate the divinity or the good in all aspects of life, we are simply living our spiritual self in this human experience. We are being that which we wish to experience. We are being the change that we wish to see in the world. And we are living the state of appreciation. And that leads to giving in a state of gratitude. Appreciation grows to an overwhelming state in which thanksgiving is the necessary outcome. It's the logical outlet of our feelings. The giving of thanks is a natural outcome of an appreciative heart. When St. Francis says, "It is in dying that we are born to eternal life," he is saying that as we release the limitations of our mortal being and adopt our divine higher self, we enter into eternal life because we enter into a life of unlimited potentials. We recognize, appreciate, and initiate our spiritual self. We appreciate and honor our true nature, and we are no longer willing to settle with being a mere observer. It is ever so much more fulfilling to feel the presence of God moving through us and as us.
Well, you know, I often talk about how words have different meanings for different people. And I just love how you took those words and made them whatever you wanted and switched words to mean what you wanted them to. I love that. And I think we all do that, whether we recognize it or not. And sometimes we're in conversation with someone else, and it's a great time to just simply appreciate them because they used a word that has a different connotation or meaning for us than what it obviously does for them. So, you know me, I went right to the dictionaries to get my definitions. We all would agree, I think, that appreciation means a feeling of gratitude. But I rather like this definition I found. It says the recognition and enjoyment of the good qualities of someone or something. And then in Britannica, they define appreciation as value recognition or the ability to understand, discern, and enjoy the high quality, beauty, or importance of something. And I too will add someone. So being an appreciative person means keeping an appreciative mindset. This alters our personal energy, providing a richer life experience. Embracing an appreciative mindset aligns us personally with our divine reality. In Science of Mind, we use the word appearances to distinguish that which seems to be from that which actually is. When we think negatively, we may produce conditions which appear to be true. However, our results have no power, no reality, except as we give them our power, by believing that the appearance is the actuality. Ernest Holmes writes, disease, discord, limitation have no spiritual prototypes. They are false manifestations which have objectified in the body or in the affairs of human life. One way of eliminating these false manifestations is by feeling the energy and mindset of appreciation, which deepens our connection to the source of all goodness and all loving kindness. Appreciation is a vital state of consciousness as it transforms our human experience from ego-driven scarcity to soul-centered abundance. Have you noticed that while there are many words we can focus our attention upon to shift our mindset or experiences in life, they all come back to the one, God, called by whatever our chosen word is for God. There is a power in the universe, and we get to use it. So how often do you spend your time and energy just appreciating your life and the many blessings that your life contains? I used to have a walking on the beach buddy, and while we walked, we would go back and forth calling out words of things we were appreciative of. And you know, we never were able to finish our list by the time we got back to the car. Just imagine how operationally healthy and tranquil our bodies would be if we could live our everyday lives in a state of appreciation. Appreciation can lead us into greater clarity of mind, which in turn provides for more effective decision making. And how about the people in our lives? If we stopped the mental banter about what people are doing wrong and focused our mind on what each one around us is doing right, and felt appreciation for all that goodness, relationships would truly become happier and more fulfilling. The idea of living more appreciatively is not just a willy-nilly, silly-billy practice. There are many scientific studies proving how our mind and body work together. Mayo Clinic, which is front and foremost for me these days, Mayo Clinic's experts view appreciation not just as a polite social custom, but as a biological protective factor that directly reduces stress and builds psychological resilience. They emphasize that practice your practice, as David said, practicing appreciation physically transforms your brain and your body, serving as a powerful tool to improve mental well-being, boost immunity, and lower blood pressure. It literally changes our brain biology. It is, of course, a wonderful idea to let people around you know how much you appreciate them. It's good practice to be specific with some of your appreciations. But it's also just as powerful for your own well-being, as well as the world at large, to think your appreciations. You can silently send appreciation to loved ones. So let's do that now. I invite you to think of five people that you have a deep appreciation for, or that come to mind. And once you get your five, maybe even close your eyes for a moment and take a few deep breaths while you visualize them and send them your silent appreciation. And then take another breath when you're complete and open your eyes. Although if you're like me and my beach walking friend, you're never complete with them. You find that it goes on and on and on. But take a look at how you feel. And then just feel the room. We have created a race consciousness of appreciation, and it's transformational. Imagine if everyone in the world was doing this at the same time. The University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill wrote this: effective appreciation relies on a core framework. Notice what you have. Think about why you received it. Feel the positive emotions and do something to express it. Our silent appreciation sending was a powerful exercise of expressing our true nature, our God nature. Nothing about the practice of appreciation diminishes or ignores life's hardships. However, it does provide the opportunity to recognize hope, comfort, and the energy to navigate adversity. It's like a savings account. So when a situation occurs in our appearances, we have a strong mental habit of leaning into our sense of appreciation, which will assist our navigation toward revealing healing. And so it is.
So it is.